right, crawlers, who's ready to head to level 3 of the dungeon? Then you'd better stick around for my review of Carl's Doomsday Scenario by Matt Dinneman. But first, let's check out the new gadget that I got for my Kindle. Hey there, book lovers. So I recently got a page turner, which I don't know if you have seen those around. I know I have been seeing them quite a bit, but they are little devices that you can clip onto your Kindle. That it's a two-piece device that one end clips onto your Kindle, the other is a remote that you can push a button and it will turn the Kindle page for you. I never thought that I would actually get one of these. I didn't really see the use case for them because turning Kindle pages is already really easy. It's just a touch of your finger on the screen and it turns the page. So I never really saw a need for one. But I know a lot of people that use them, you know, if they're curled up in bed, they can prop their Kindle, either on like a pillow, or I know people who I've seen online where they will get like an actual stand, to put their Kindle on, that holds it like at eye level for them so that they can just curl up under the blankets and turn the page without having to pull their hands out of the blankets or anything like that. And they can stay warm and not have to move, and still be able to read their books. What made me want to get one of these is that I do a lot of knitting and crocheting as well, which a lot of times I will listen to audiobooks while I'm doing that. But in cases where I don't have an audiobook on hand to listen to, but I do have a Kindle book that I'm reading and I still want to be able to read while I'm doing like a really easy pattern, with whatever I'm knitting or crocheting, I thought it might be useful to have one of these to like prop my Kindle up and be able to, knit or crochet or whatever and still be able to read hands-free, sort of like that. So I grabbed one of these on Amazon. They have a bunch of different types, different varieties, different colors. The one I bought was from a brand called Datify. This one was branded as case friendly, so you can see that it extends pretty far out. It's designed to be used with a Kindle that has a case, which was what I wanted because I do have a case on my Kindle. I didn't want to have to take my case off to be able to use this properly. This one is designed. It says that it takes about an hour and a half to charge fully, and then on a full charge, it can be used for about 25 hours. And then it will shut off after 30 minutes of inactivity. So if you're not using it for up to 30 minutes, it will shut off, which is handy. So I don't have to remember to turn it off and it won't drain the battery. They come in a bunch of different styles. There are page turners that come with just a remote that's about this size, with a button on it that you can hold, versus this ring remote. I went with the ring remote option because I figured it would be easier to keep track of rather than having an actual remote that could get lost in like the blankets or the couch cushions or what have you. It did come with a charging cable and it also came with a little pouch to put them in, which is handy to be able to keep track of them. I've been using it for about a week and really, really enjoy it. It's been a lot handier than I expected it to really be. But I thought it would be neat to kind of show you guys what it looks like in action. And so let's just take a look. Okay, guys, so this is the page turner, and like I said before, this is just a two-piece device. One end clips to your Kindle, the other one is the remote that has the button that communicates with this other piece to turn the page. This piece that connects to your Kindle has that little button here that if you click that, once that light comes on, it's ready to go, and then you just grab your Kindle here and take the clip and fit it on to your Kindle. It actually bumped the page, so we'll just let that be there. Mine actually came with a little diagram of exactly where to put the clip so that it turns the page correctly. So it did say not to put it like way up here so that you don't hit the menu bar on your Kindle, and then don't put it like way down here for the same reasons. So I don't know if all of them will be the same way, but just understand that like you kind of want to put it at the like very edge, like I have it there. But once you have it in place, you can just push this button and it should, might be a little delay going initially, but you just keep pushing the button and it will turn that page for you. But yeah. And then if you want to go back, like if you do have to switch it, I will show you if you want to switch to the opposite page. It's going to be a little bit trickier. Unfortunately, there it is, right there. So if you want to go back a page, you have to switch it to the opposite side, is the only slight drawback to that. But you just switch sides and then push the button and it will go back however many pages you want as long as you push the button. But that is the page turner. It's pretty easy to use. This one is case friendly. It's a little harder to clip because I've got the pop socket on my case. That might be something I change in the future, but we will just have to see. But yeah, like I said, that is the page turner in a nutshell. It's really simple to use right out of the box. Just charge it up, clip it on, and you're ready to go. That is all that I have as far as my demonstration of the page turner goes. I hope it was helpful for anybody who might, be interested in getting one and has kind of been on the fence about it, like I was. They are pretty inexpensive. I think mine was about $15 if you would like to try one out. If you have one and really like it or dislike it, feel free to share in the comments what your thoughts are. But otherwise, that's all I've got there. And we can jump right into my review of Carl's Doomsday Scenario by Matt Dinniman. So Carl's Doomsday Scenario by Matt Dinniman is book 2 in this author's Dungeon Crawler Carl series. If you missed my review of Dungeon Crawler Carl by this author, you can catch it here, and I will also put a link to that in the description as well. I do want to give a heads up. I know I've given a heads up about this in the past, but I do like to put it out there, especially when books are in consecutive in a series. There will be spoilers in this review. There isn't really a way for me to avoid that. I will do the best I can, but it is just unavoidable when this is a book 2 in a series. So if you have not read that first book or you haven't caught that review, just be aware there will be spoilers. I will have a spoiler alert tag on there, as I always do when those spoilers pop up, but just I like to let people know and make sure that they're aware before ahead of time before going in. But Carl's Doomsday Scenario follows the story of Carl and Donut, who have made it to the 3rd level of the dungeon, which means that they have reached the point in the game where they get to choose their race and class, as well as distribute their stat points. The 3rd level is called the Overcity, which is a devastated, once thriving metropolis that was destroyed by a mysterious calamity that Carl and Donut must figure out how to navigate to reach the next level down before the time runs out, all while doing what they can to maintain their image for those watching the show. This book was just as unhinged and as chaotic and wild as the first book, which was just really enjoyable for me because I loved the first book so much. And the way the first book ended definitely had me immediately grabbing the second book. And I'm really, really glad that it was on Kindle Unlimited for me to be able to grab it that quickly and not have to wait for it. But it had all of the same video game elements that I was familiar with that I really enjoyed from the first book. And it did introduce some newer ones as well. There were a lot of different class and race selections that you got to kind of see as Carl and Donut were trying to decide, what they wanted to be going forward in the game. And the changes are permanent. So it was a big choice, big decisions needing to be made there. But it was a lot of fun reading this book as usual, as expected, because it was very similar to the first one. So one of the big changes in this book from the first book is that because of the class that Donut chooses, she and Carl are able to bring their game guide that they've had for the first 2 levels with them from this point forward. So their game guide is an NPC named Mordecai, who you get to learn a lot of his backstory, and he was a crawler previously, and he got as far as, I believe he got to as far as level 10, and if crawlers get that far, they get the option to become NPCs in the dungeon. And he took that option, and so he ended up being a game guide where he would pop up if they ended up going to his tutorial guild room. That's the only time they would see him. Like, they didn't have access to him in like the chat, or if they went to a safe room or anything. But she changes because of the class Donut chooses. They are now able to basically, he's basically in their party without actually being a playable character in their party. So like they can talk to him via the chat. They can, when they go to a safe room, he appears and they can interact with him, and he can kind of help them, and he has a lot of game knowledge. So that was really fun. And it's you get to see more of him as a character, as the reader, which is great because he has a lot of interactions with Carl and Donut anyway, and that was just really fun to see, because you do form something of a bond with him as a character, just because in the first book, because of how he interacts with Carl and Donut as the main characters. And I felt like that was a really clever way to be able to keep him on in further books, rather than him leaving after they leave level 3, which was how it was explained in the first book, that was what was going to happen. So I thought that was a really neat way to be able to keep this character on, which is great, because I think he was for me, he's a very beloved character, and it was obvious that they had a very good chemistry and rapport. So I'm really glad that was something that they changed, that was changed in here, and I'm excited to see what happens going forward. So this book also introduced the element of quests, which, if you are familiar with playing video games at all, then you know how those look and play out in a video game. Those, however, for me, did kind of play out differently in this versus to how I'm used to them playing out in video games. And I think that was just the difference of the storytelling medium, right? Like, if you're playing a video game, the clues to a quest and how to complete them are pretty obvious, because it's all right there on the screen for you. Whereas in the book, in Carl's Doomsday scenario, it's being told through text. So things aren't really as obvious. You're kind of limited by what you can see as the reader through what Carl and Donut are experiencing, and what you're being told through their narration. So it's kind of less obvious to figure out. I mean, it also doesn't really help that Carl and Donut try to solve problems in their own unhinged sort of way that tends to run counter to what they're supposed to be doing, which gets them into a lot of hot water. And gets them that they solve quests. It's just in a very questionable way. And it's very hit or miss in places as to whether or not they're going to survive. I mean, as you're reading, it's obvious, like, okay, they're going to survive because there are several books after this one, and these are the main characters. So, like, as the reader, you're kind of thinking, yeah, they're gonna make it, but you also, as you're reading, it's so chaotic and it's so unhinged that you're just like, how, right? So definitely a wild ride, definitely a different take on the questing sort of storyline that you're probably used to if you're a video gamer. But definitely also still very enjoyable to read through for sure. You get more of the reality TV side of things in this book as well. Carl and Donut are one of the stars of the show because of how well they're doing and how entertaining they are to watch. So they go on interviews while they're in the dungeon, which they did in book 1, but you can see their individual personalities kind of come out more now that they're, this is the second round of like interviews that they're doing. So they kind of know how things work now. But they're getting a little more comfortable, sort of. Donut loves the attention and like really hams it up for the camera. And really, even when they're not in interviews, like she's out in the dungeon world trying to think of ways to do things that's going to gain them views, gain them followers, do things in like a fantastical way that's going to look good for the cameras. Carl is very much the opposite. Like he just wants to survive. He doesn't want to do this to impress anybody. He kind of, he has this mantra of you're not going to break me, right? He doesn't want to like be a puppet and dance for these aliens that have basically thrown him in this survival TV show for their entertainment. But they both also have to learn some very hard truths very quickly about how they need to watch what they say because the cameras are always rolling. And what they say at a lot of points, even when they don't think that the people are watching, have consequences in this book. This book specifically, and they kind of have to realize that, and I'm sure that will be a plot point going forward as they inadvertently step in it and make some enemies because they just kind of forget in the focus on trying to survive this dungeon that, hey, we're also on a TV show and there are cameras and there are people that are seeing this and maybe don't like what we're saying, and it's really interesting, and it adds an element of stress to an already stressful task of survival for them that you're able to feel as the reader right along with them while you're reading this book, which is a testament to this author's writing. It was just added to the enjoyment for me. It upped the stakes. And yeah, I can't wait to read more. I honestly love that I never know what to expect with these books. The only things that I can pretty much guarantee whenever I pick up one are that I'm probably going to be laughing at the absurdity of all of it. And that there's going to be a lot of chaos and unhinged madness. And I'm going to immediately want to grab the next book once I'm done, which that part is, it's going to be fine until I reach the last one that's available. And then I'm not going to be able to have a next one because the next one is not out yet. Now, I'm on book 2. There are currently 7 that are out. I believe there are supposed to be 10 books in this series. So I have a little bit to go before I get to the there's no more books left problem. But it's encouraging that I'm only on book 2 and I've kind of already gotten to the point that I'm sensing the pattern that every time I finish the book, I'm going to be ready to grab the next one. And every time I read one of these books, even though it's only been 2 books, I know that I'm going to be in for a wild ride. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be unhinged. I'm going to be randomly laughing or just saying random, oh crap, oh wow, or, just randomly talking out loud. As as I'm reading because of just what's happening on the page, which is a really good sign that of an engaging read for me. And this is no exception. This book and its predecessor were both very entertaining, very engaging reads. I love the genre. The lit RPG subgenre is a new one that I didn't expect to enjoy. But really am enjoying it so far. I do love the character development for sure. I like that I still like that you get little snippets of the dynamic between Carl and Donut, the dynamic between Carl and Donut and Mordecai. And I am told from a friend who is further ahead in the series than I am that there will be more characters that just get added on as the books progress, where like they just as the characters get added on, there are more connections that get made to different characters with all of the ones that you are already previously acquainted with. And I can't wait for that because I connect with characters when I'm reading, so I'm really excited for that. Overall, I would give Carl's Doomsday Scenario 5 out of 5 stars. It was every bit as entertaining as the first book, and the ending has me ready to read the third book to find out what happens next. The series promises to continue to be the perfect mix of chaos, character development, and video game elements that I didn't know I needed, but now definitely want more of. If you haven't picked up this series yet, I would definitely recommend it. Obviously start with Dungeon Crawler Carl first, but if you have read Dungeon Crawler Carl already, then definitely read this one if you haven't picked it up yet. I personally don't know how you were able to read Dungeon Crawler Carl and not immediately grab this one, because that's what I ended up having to do just because of the way this author ends his books, is they're ended on a cliffhanger to where unless you just completely hate the book, you have no choice but to immediately grab the next book. And if you completely hated the book, there are points at which I think you would stop before completely finishing. In my opinion, I don't know that I would make it to the end of the book and then say I completely hated it. But regardless, if you haven't checked this series out yet, I would highly recommend it. Definitely start with the first one first, because otherwise you will be a little lost. But if you have read the first one, absolutely grab this one. For those of you who are interested in finding out what's next on the channel, be sure to be on the lookout for my review of Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This is book 1 in this author's Fae and Alchemy series, and it follows the story of Ceres Fane, a thief from the city of Zilvarin, who inadvertently opens a portal to the long-forgotten Fae realm of Evelia, and ends up making a bargain with Kingfisher to use her alchemist gifts to help his people and learn more about her powers. And I absolutely loved this book. I cannot wait to share my thoughts with you guys on it, so definitely stay tuned for that one. If you liked anything that you saw in this video today and want to share your thoughts, please be sure to share them in the comments below. If you liked what you saw in this video and want to see more of it, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more content. And otherwise, I will see you guys next time, and happy reading!